Welcome to the funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm the president of Alignment Group. This is episode number 203 of the funnel. Sales coaching moves the needle. Before we get started, just a reminder, head on over to alignment-group.com/the funnel, and we will send you the show notes weekly. That comes out Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. And subscribers get additional content as well and offers. Currently, we're providing the blog as well. And the blog is a companion piece to the podcast. So usually if we do a podcast, a couple of weeks later, a companion piece to that podcast will show up in the blog. So you sort of get the benefit of the podcast show notes as well as the blog. Agenda for today: cold hard facts, primary responsibility. I sort of said primary wrong there. Maybe I just emphasized it wrong. Primary responsibility. Coaching equals success. Coaching skills, coaching plan. So let's deal with some of the cold, hard facts. The average sales rep takes 1 year to produce. Now, I'm not a big believer in that, but that's pretty much what we see nationally and internationally. I would say that there's ways around that through onboarding. You can reduce that number, and the cost is high. Working through some stuff right now, looking at those costs, and it's pretty brutal. But that's what we're dealing with in today's world. Sales reps don't retain the training content. If you bring them in for a training session or send them away for a week or two, they generally don't retain what you've taught them. Again, I have tons of podcasts on this. It's the fire hose approach to training. 1, 2, even if you spread it out, they're not retaining it. And I'll explain why in a second. Poor coaching results in poor results. So if you don't do any coaching at all, the results aren't going to be great. And there's some of you out there that are probably saying, hey, I don't coach and my top reps are killing it. My response to that is, fine, what is your middle of the road reps? What are they doing? Let's not even talk about the bottom. The bottom probably need to do something else with. But the middle of the road reps, what are they doing? And your top reps, could they be better? Someone's producing 125%. What's wrong with trying to get them to 150%? And that's coaching. I'm not talking about pressure or raising quotas or browbeating them. I'm talking about coaching. And at the higher levels, that kind of coaching is what I call value added. I'm value added to you. You're really good at what you do. I'm here to support your effort and to help you get even better. Training reinforcement equals higher revenue and profits. I want to go back up to what they don't retain. They don't retain what they're trained because they're not coached on it. So oftentimes you see sales managers put their sales teams through training classes, and they don't feel they should sit through that training class because they've arrived. They're a manager. Or they show up and they're in the class, but they have their phone out and they're working on their phone or their laptop, or they're jumping in and out to take calls, but the rep can't do that because you're in training. I think a fully engaged sales manager in the training class that participates at a high level, I think that's important. I learned that before I even became VP of sales as a manager. We brought some training, and now I've evolved and changed a lot of my training process and delivery as I've learned more. But back in the day, we brought training folks in. And I remember all the managers, just a member of the team, going through the training class, competing with the presentation and the role plays and stuff like that. It's a lot of pressure when you're a manager because you're on stage in front of your entire team there. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. And I think it was helpful. And we followed the same rules. So that's number one. Number two, the reinforcement happens with coaching. So if you don't reinforce it, you're not going to drive those numbers up because they're not going to retain what they've learned. Next, we're going to talk about is the primary responsibility. And what is your primary responsibility as a manager? It's to coach. You're not there to close business or to take over calls. You're not there to babysit. You're responsible for development and growth of your team. And that happens when you're coaching. That happens when you're working to help people understand the challenges of their customers, understand how to respond, learn how to get better at what they do to drive more business. A good coach understands that. So we see analogies all the time, right? We use sports as an analogy. When was the last time you saw an NFL coach run out on the field and replace their quarterback and take snaps and start throwing the ball and handing it off? When was the last time you saw a coach catch a touchdown pass? Or a baseball manager walk out to the mound, take the ball from the pitcher, and start pitching themselves? They don't do that. The role is pretty clear. They need to win. They need to find a way to get this group of people to hit their maximum capacity and then some. All together at the same time. That results in a win, and at the end of the season, some sort of championship. And there's only one champion a year. They understand the role. Some of them are good at it, some of them aren't. It's the same here. Your job is to win. Well, John, you said your job is to win. Why can't I close the business? Because you can't win closing everybody's business. And most of the time, if you're closing business, you're at the bottom. You're bottom feeding. You're working with your least capable salespeople. When they maybe need some better coaching or they need to move on, your middle of the road sales reps, the ones that are showing promise, and your high-end sales reps, that's where the money is. Coaching them to their maximum and then finding somebody to replace the bottom end if they're not capable. I don't want to just make a blanket statement, but generally there's people that are hanging around sales teams because the manager doesn't want to replace them. It's pretty clear what your role is. What's fascinating to me is I don't see a lot of that. And I think the reason for that is cultural. One, I think companies are inclined not to kind of buy into that. We just need business and we need it now. The second one is how the managers are trained. Most of the time, managers are trained from the manager that was in front of them, and they were trained from the manager that was in front of them, and so on and so forth. And all that stuff is passed down. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. You just need to go out there and make it happen. Close the deals. Coaching equals success. I just said that, right? So now you have the push-pull of management. So I want to talk about that for a second. And I remember when I said it was cultural and it's top-down. If you have a management structure that puts you in a position where you're consistently putting out fires and running to meetings and making decisions, right? The management role, I'm in charge kind of thing. It's going to be hard to coach because your time is eaten up by the crazy stuff. So at some point, you have to get people to do things on their own. Okay, and I can use countless examples in the sales environment. I can use countless examples in the personal world, right? I'm the technology guru in my house. That's not a good place to be in this house. I can't print. The wireless is down. This isn't working. Why is this not happening? So I started to apply some of the management techniques that I learned. I said to myself, why am I doing this? I have enough capable people here. I just need to teach them the things that they need to do. Then they need to take control of it. And if they don't learn, I have to put my foot down. I can't help you. I taught you how to use the printer and print wirelessly from your laptop. I'm sorry that you're struggling with that. We've been through this multiple times, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. A little tough love there. But I'm walking away from those things, those little things that eat up my time, and I spend it on valuable things. And it's the same in management. You're putting out fires with administration at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday because they need this thing done now, and you have reps that you need to meet with and coach. How can you get that done? How can you do it and still be the fireman or the firewoman? How can you do that? It's that push-pull management. So here's what I'm going to tell you. No surprises with your team. Okay? You don't just show up and say, I'm going to coach. Or, a surprise, hey, I'm going to ride with you today. Unless you suspect they're doing something. Right? Hey, I'll meet you downtown in half an hour. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And they're still in their pajamas. So, yes, you can. I understand that side of it. But what I'm saying is no surprises. Hey, I'm going to ride with you today. I'm going to coach you. Woohoo, here I come. And they're looking at you like, are you crazy? And then you spend the entire time in the car on the phone putting out fires. But I coached you because I was in the car. So no surprises. Plan your events. And we're gonna dive into this a little deeper as we move forward. The next couple of podcasts, I'm going to get into specific places you can coach. For example, ride-alongs. So don't just say, hey, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to coach. Plan it. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And what I mean by no surprises, and this is a little repetitive, I don't want you to just, it's not a gotcha moment. It's a development moment. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to teach them, and you need to treat it as that. Mutual respect. They need to get something out of it, and you need to get something out of it. So avoid that push-pull of management. Look at your activities and decide what works here and what doesn't. Coaching skills. It is a skill. Okay, so we're going to dive into that, like I said, in the next couple of podcasts. I'm going to really touch on some of the coaching places you can coach and how you can set that up. But I want to kind of give you the overall on this. First of all, you have to commit to it. If you want to get better at the skill, commit to it. And don't worry about making mistakes. It's okay. As long as you commit to it and you stick with it, it's a mutual respect. You respect them, they respect you. They're going to forgive a mistake or two or a stumble. As long as you're supporting them and you're continuing to move forward and you're helping, you're going to be fine. But you need to spend time with them to get to know them, not only from a personal level, but from a professional level. Know their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, we use the candidate assessment from Objective Management Group. Once you hire that person, you can convert that into a full-blown sales rep assessment. Now I don't know the number of pages. I'm so terrible at that. It's like 30-something pages of really good data and intel. And I can tell you, you can go back after months if you're having a problem with something and look at the assessment and go, oh, yeah, that's why. I don't know why I forgot that. I don't want you to do that. I want you to keep that. I want you to read that all the time, highlight it, understand where they are in their skill sets. And as you go through the pipeline and forecast meetings, and we've talked about that in the previous few podcasts, as you go through those meetings, weaknesses will bubble to the surface. They'll just stand out to you. When you look at the data and you start going through the pipeline discussions, that stuff's going to bubble right up. You're going to figure out where they are, and you're going to figure out their strengths. You want to help them leverage those strengths and improve the weaknesses. Begin to hone your coaching skills. Build yourself a customized program. So what I mean by that is it's not something that's so completely unique that your company's the only company on the planet that does it. What I'm saying is if you spend time on it and focus time on it and build a program and stick to it, you're going to have success. It's that simple. So let's talk a little bit about the plan, what that might look like, how you can at least get to the plan. So I want you to take a serious look at how you spend your time today. Here's what I would do. This is a recommendation I do with sales reps all the time. when I'm coaching them. How do you spend your time? Well, I do a little bit of this. I do some of that. I take it as it comes. I get a lot of calls and emails, and people come in and interrupt me. So I do this, this, and this. Well, how do you plan your week? Well, whatever meetings I have on the schedule, and then whatever I can sort of fit some stuff in, I fit stuff in, and then, of course, I always have the calls and the stuff that pops up, so I plop that into my calendar. I'm like, wow, that sounds really organized and and straightforward. Of course, I'm being facetious. That's silly. I don't tell them that's silly, but that's silly. Okay, so what I tell them, and I'm going to tell you, journal your week for a few weeks. Write it down. Open up your notepad or whatever you use. I don't care if you use your smartphone, your planner, whatever it is that you use. I don't care. Document it every minute of the day. I mean every minute. You got to work at 7:30. Cup of coffee, chit-chat in the kitchen. At your desk at 7:45. Checked emails. Responded to emails. 8:15. Had a meeting. Okay, right on through to lunch. Grabbed a soda or a water or a smoothie at 10:30. Lunch, what you did at the end of the day. And if you did any work in the evening, write it down. Chart it out. I think what you're going to find is a lot of busy work. If you don't have the time to coach your reps and you're not in the field with them, I understand some of you have reps that are all over the place, regionally or nationally, and it makes it a little difficult. You got to find the way. Find a way to do that. But seriously, look at how you spend your time. And then take out the red pen. And I'm looking at this screen here for those of you watching the video. And it's interesting that the writing on the screen is white, but the pen that the hand is holding is black. So I would suggest you take out the red pen and you start redlining the stuff that's unimportant. And you start moving it into buckets. You can't just ignore people internally. So there's a way to work through that. You got to let them know what you're doing. You got to tell people I'm reorganizing my day, and this is how I'm going to do it. Okay? So between this time and this time, I'm not to be disturbed. I turn off the monitor if I'm sitting in my office. I shut down the phone, and I have my pipeline meetings. And when I'm in the field, I'm not going to respond to every email that you send me. And think about it like a date, okay? You go out on a date with somebody. Now, for some of you, it might be a long time ago since you dated because, you're in a relationship. And some of you might be new to it. So think about a date. You go out on a date. Are you going to pick up your phone and start calling your friends and responding to texts, Snapchatting, and Instagramming or whatever it is, tweeting? Maybe millennials are doing that. They're sitting across from one another on their phones. But I guarantee you, if you're doing that and you're not paying attention to the person that you're with on that date, they're going to get irritated. You have no desire to understand them. You're not focusing on them. You're doing other things. And you can ask anybody in my circle, professionally or personally. I ask them to put the phone down when I talk to them. And I tell them, do you see my phone anywhere here? It's a distraction for me, so I don't even bring it into the room with me or the office. And when I go in to meet with clients, I turn it off and I stick it in my pocket, or I stick it in my bag, my backpack, whatever I'm carrying at the moment. And I don't look at it until I walk out of there. I'm devoting 100% of my time to them. So look at how you spend your day. In-house time versus sales rep time. If it's imbalanced, if it's unbalanced, change it. It needs to change. Adjust your priorities. Put your plan in writing and make sure you get senior management buy-in. Not everybody buys what I'm selling here. Okay? So you don't want to get yourself in hot water. Make sure your boss understands. If you're a manager or if you're a VP, make sure they understand your time is better spent coaching your people to do a better job. And if they don't want to ride with you on that, ask them for 6 or 8 months on it. It'll work. Trust me, your numbers will go up. even if you're really bad at it in the beginning. So next time we're going to dive into some of the different types. We're going to start with, I think the next podcast is going to be on the ride along, but I'm not sure. I have them lined up. But I'm going to deal with the ride along. I'm going to deal with some different types of coaching meetings, the one-on-one meeting. Okay, so I might move that first so you can get a feel for what they're like. Okay, so that's it for today. I want you to just remember to head on over to the funnel, alignment-group.com/the funnel, and subscribe to the funnel. We always send out the show notes, but occasionally there are things that we send to subscribers that are subscriber only. You can find me on Facebook, /alignment group, @ShayJohnR, and LinkedIn. And I promise you on Facebook, there will be no political videos at all. There will be no political discussions. If you want a welcome break from the politics, head on over to Alignment Group's Facebook page. You can contact me, Jay Shay, at alignment-group.com. Of course, that's our website, alignment-group.com. Until next time, keep filling the funnel.